Hello, Blue Whisper here. I've got a lot to say today, I guess. um, so I had just uploaded a video, a couple of them actually, but the latest one that before this one was about the law of attraction and how I'm putting that into play. And I'm getting tired of talking about this subject because I've done so many takes, and this last time I almost had it done, but then the phone rang and I deleted it. And so anyway. Um, I know this will probably offend a lot of you, whether you agree or disagree, that's fine. This is my belief. And learning more about the power of attracting and things I knew to begin with. If you're a witch, you believe in magic. Magic and miracles, they're pretty much the same thing. Um, when we do healing spells, we have some that are successful and some that fail. And my question is, why do some fail and others work? The answer is pretty clear. It's belief. If you believe something will help you, if you believe you can be healed, you will be healed. If you don't believe you're not going to be healed, you're not going to be healed. I'm just going to go through this real fast. I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but I'm talking about a lot of people in particular. I'm talking about people in general. And it's human nature. And sometimes we get stuck in this negativity. And it's not good. And then you wonder why people kind of start floating away from you because, if you're complaining about an illness or something that's wrong with you constantly and you don't talk about anything else, and no matter what anybody says, you have an excuse for why it's not working, um, people get frustrated with that and you're sucking them into your negativity. And people who are trying to go down a path of positivity and change their lives around, if you're doing nothing and you want to stay where you're at in your negativity, that's fine, but I don't think it's fair for you to suck other people into your negativity and expect them to stay there. And then use that as something else to whine about why nobody wants to hang with you, or a particular person doesn't want to hang with you anymore. Um, you know, in the Law of Attraction in the book and in the movie, there was one fella whose name escapes me right now. I've been watching it over and over again. You think I'd memorize this stuff. But it's like what you ask for, what you want, or what you believe is what you're going to get. And then there's that famous quote. Can't remember who said that either. It's like, who was it? Roosevelt or somebody? I can't remember. But anyway, there was a famous quote about if you, how does that go? Anyway, something about if you believe you can have something, you can. You're right. If you believe you can't have something, you're right. If you believe I don't know if those are the exact words, but that's what it is. If you believe you can be healed, you'll be healed. If you don't believe you're going to be healed, then you won't be healed. Because this is the way it is. Whether I'm doing spell work for a paid client or not, the one thing I want to know is, in almost all my spells, I'm requiring a little consultation, at least one for the first consultation free. I want to find out where a person's at, if they're truly wanting to be healed or if they just wanting to bitch. If you're just wanting to bitch about how horrible your life is or how horrible your health is and you're not really interested in the healing, then why am I going to waste my time, my candles, my herbs, and everything on a spell that's not going to work? It's going to fail. I am not going to put myself out there to do a spell and have you say that I'm not good at what I do because you're not open to receiving your healing. It's fruitless. I would just assume that if you need someone to talk to and just wants to listen, well, you know what, we can do all kinds of consultations. I can do readings or whatever, but we're going to stay away from the spell work to heal you if that's not where you're going to be, if that's not what you're wanting. A good way that I've learned to find out if somebody's open to the experience of receiving their magic when you talk to them is when you make suggestions if they have an excuse. Okay, if they say, well, look, yeah, I tried, drinking ginger tea, but I'm allergic to ginger. Okay, fine. But if you give them 10 suggestions and they shoot down every single suggestion and have a reason why they can't even try it, chances are they don't want to change. They just want bitch. And they're going to be in their negativity. It's frustrating, especially when you're talking to a friend that's that way. And then they wonder why nobody wants to hang around with them and everything. Well, you know what? Negativity attracts negativity. It repels positivity. If you're going to be negative, you're not going to have positive people or positive things or positive anything. You're just going to have negative because that's all you're allowing in. If you change your brain and your way of thinking, and you allow positive in, and you allow positive changes, and you start visualizing yourself as being healed, then you can have your healing, you can have your magic. I would rather talk with somebody, maybe counsel with them, coach them, train them into thinking positive and allowing themselves to have their healing and their magic before doing a spell to help them. And on a personal level, I'm trying to grow in my positivity. I'm trying to move forward, and I'm not trying, I'm doing it. Try leaves yourself open to a failure, and I'm not going to fail. I am successful. That's the way of thinking you got to have. And so if you feel like I'm not making time for you, it's because for the first time in my life, now I'm making time for me and I'm using it. And I'm not trying to slight any of my friends. I cannot be a good friend to somebody else if I'm becoming frustrated and can't deal with the negativity, if they're unwilling to change. And I've noticed myself doing just that. I'll talk to somebody, and when I start seeing their negative side creeping in, I'm looking for any excuse I can to hang up or to stop the conversation. And if I'm busy doing something else, like working on my website or, doing things that I have to do, cooking or whatever, and I'm not there to talk to them when they think I should be, then they're feeling slighted, like I don't like them anymore. That's far from the truth. The truth is I've put myself last for so many years. I've put my children, my family, everybody first. I've dealt with everybody's bullshit. And as a result, I became a very fucked up individual. I mean, I had all these phobias. When you're a negative person, especially if you're hanging on to negativity in the sense of illness, you're not going to get healed because you really don't want it deep down inside for whatever reason. You got to figure out what that reason is why you're hanging on to this negativity, why you're hanging on to this illness, and get rid of that. I think hanging on to an illness like that just because as long as you're ill you get Social Security, that's pretty lame. That's just my opinion. And I'm not saying that you can heal yourself, and I believe you can in any way, but you still may be physically disabled even after you're healing. I do believe that. Let me back up and give you a good example. Years ago, when my kids were little, we went to this one church we used to go to. And there was a blind guy in there. And I remember my son, as little as he was, he went up to this blind guy and he says, "I feel sorry for you that you can't see." And the blind man just patted him on the head and said, "I see everything just fine." And that floored me. And it took me a minute to realize that what he was saying was just because he didn't have his gift of sight with the eyes did not mean he couldn't see. He could see with his hands. He could see with his sense of smell, his sense of hearing, his sense of taste. the vibrations, which we're all vibrational, energy anyway. Um, and so he could see just fine in the way that was perfect for him. He has adapted, and so he didn't claim it as a disability. Granted, he still was able to get the income of disability and deserved it. Okay, I'm not saying you don't deserve your stuff. I'm just saying I think it's a pretty fucking lame thing to keep, to use as an excuse to stay negative and to stay sick. Um, yeah, I said it, and if you're offended, I'm sorry, but that's what I believe. Um, so if you're sick and you want the healing, but you're not getting your healing, check. Why are you hanging on to that? Just because you're not getting your healing in the way you think you should, if you may be just going through a transformation, and your healing may come about in another way that you least expect. Um, I've seen people in wheelchairs that claimed a healing, and even after they claimed that healing and claimed to be healed, they were still in the wheelchair and unable to walk. Well, how does that healing? Because they healed from the inside out. They didn't let the fact that they were in a wheelchair stop them from doing the things that they would normally do anyway. Um, Another good example, there was a lady that was a quadriplegic. I'm talking, she was completely paralyzed from here down, and she was on TV on a documentary or whatever. She got married. She had a baby. She didn't let her body dictate who she was. She wanted to be a mom. She set her goal to be a mom. She became a mom. A lot of our disabilities and our illnesses are right up in here. Um, so, I've kind of gotten to the point with me, myself personally. I've claimed some healings. I'm working on it. I've noticed in the last couple of years some of the healings that I claimed and I believed. I'm actually becoming a much healthier person. Um, some of my phobias are gone, and even though I'm still dealing with a lot of negativity, I know that I'm going forward, and I don't have to deal with it much longer. I'm manifesting good things in my life. And health is another one. And if you're a witch and you're sick and you think that you have to stay that way, start with the positive thinking. Your body may even follow you. But if all you're doing is sitting around complaining and whining about how horrible you feel all the time, then that's all you're ever going to feel is horrible. But if you start being grateful for things like, you get up in the morning and things crack and creak and it hurts and everything, but excuse me. If you get up in the morning and find something to be grateful for, truly grateful for, you're going to start feeling better. If you're focusing in on good things, then you're going to start feeling better and you're going to heal. And you may still have the arthritis, but you won't be arthritis. Do you understand what I'm saying? People gravitate toward positive people, gravitate towards positive people. Successful people gravitate towards success. Like attracts like. And if you're out of balance, instead of making excuses, instead of blaming the universe or anything like that, you need to look inside yourself. I really believe, and like I said, and I'll say it again, if somebody wants me to do a healing spell, I definitely want to talk to them first and try to get a reading and try to get to find out where they are, because like I said, why waste my time and my stuff for somebody and their money? Why would I want to waste their money? I'm doing this because I want to help people, not because of greed. I do need an income, but I'm not going to take advantage of people. And I'm not going to take somebody's income unless they insist. But I'll tell them straight out, the only person that can be healed when they ask for a healing is those that want it, and accept it and receive it and not make excuses. It doesn't happen like this all the time. It can, but it doesn't. But if you're in the mindset where you're just looking for somebody to listen to you complain, then we're just going to do this consultation and reading sessions. We're not going to do the spell work until you're absolutely ready to receive that healing. I think that's kind of important. To me, it's important because, in your practice, somebody comes to you for healing and you just go ahead and do a healing spell and they're not getting healed and you're thinking your spells are failing. I don't care how good of a witch you are. Let me tell you right now, it's not your spells that's failing. It's not you. Somebody who wants a healing, even if they say they want a healing, may be blocking their own healing because they don't want to change. They do not want... I know people that's all they have to talk about is how horrible they feel. And without it, they think they would be not interesting, or there's a reason. And they come up with all kinds of excuses why they can't be healed. So it's not your magic. And the last thing I want is for somebody to say, oh, well, she's a fraud because I went to her for healing and it didn't work. I got my back. My spells will work if you want them to work on you. If you're not open to the healing and I cast a spell, it's not my spell that's failed. It's the fact that you're not ready to receive your healing. Or you're not patient. But you need to, do a little bit of double checking, maybe some shadow work. You need to look inside yourself and find out what's blocking you from getting your healing. Do you really want it? If you're saying can't, never, won't, or whatever, you're blocking your own healing. You're blocking, and just because you think a healing should come a certain way or you should be healed in a certain way, that's not necessarily the way that you're going to receive that healing. If you're open to the experience, you may be transformed. Just like the blind man said, I see perfectly fine. So with that being said, I think I've got that down. I probably still went over the minutes that I wanted to do this video. But anyway, if you agree with me, fine. If you don't, I don't care. So I'm not going to worry about other people's beliefs. I'm only worried about mine. Can't control anybody else, just me. But I'll try to guide. That's kind of what I'm doing. If you, feel like you need some guidance, you definitely need to reach out to somebody. If you feel like you're stuck in a negative mode and you don't want to be out of there and you don't know how to get out of it, there's all kinds of life coaches out there. Hell, contact me. I'll put my website in the description. And, come talk to me and we'll try to get this negative crap off of you. We'll banish it if we have to. And we'll keep banishing it. But you have to be open to letting it go. It's all about letting go and receiving. If you want something, you have to be open to receiving it. If there's something that you want to let go of out of your life, you have to let it go. You can't expect a witch to do a banishing spell on the negative feelings that you have if you're not willing to let those negative feelings go. It's senseless. So with that being said, create your life and create your miracles and love a witch. Blessed be everybody.